So this is the week of the show. Today's Monday. Go time is Saturday. And so today I'm just gonna do some basic low body, nothing too intense. All week I'm gonna kind of chill. This will probably be the most explosive thing that I do all week. It's in the show, taking a 50-pound sandbag, throwing it over your head as far as you can. You gotta produce a lot of power. Even though it's a lightweight, in order to throw something, you gotta tense, and you gotta explode. So, figure that will be my segue into max effort. It is a max effort for this week that won't leave me sore. Power exercises usually don't leave you sore because there's no eccentric portion of the movement. Throwing, jumping. You know the concept of blue ocean versus red ocean. I don't know who teaches it, but it's a marketing concept that you want to stay away from red waters because that means there's a lot of feeding going on there, right? The piranhas and the sharks, and they're tearing up whatever meat's available. So if you see red water, all right, go to where there's blue water. It means there's not much feeding going on. Kind of wide open. And I'm intuiting that traditional marriage and family is a blue water, meaning, of course, they're not chomping on it right now, but I think that over the course of the next 3, 5, 10 years, it's gonna be like, okay, this is it. What are we gonna do? All right? Because it's not working, and some people want it to work. I don't know how. So, I don't know. That's my intuit. I'm intuiting. And I've just found that I'm usually a little bit ahead of the curve, usually. Not in a bragging way, but like, I've seen a lot of times things coming that seems weird. It's like, where are you going with that? I've even done things and stopped doing it before it caught on for everybody else. So it's a pattern I notice in my life. Like, I'm so far ahead that by the time I'm like, all right, I'm done with this, then the big steamroll comes out behind me. I'm like, well, everybody's doing this now. I'm done, though. So Colleen and I were at an event this weekend. Right? We spoke at an event, we did a Q&A and a little presentation about marriage, about our marriage and how it's worked and why it's worked and some things that we've gleaned and wisdom that we have as to how your marriage could work, or if you're interested in marriage, how could that work? Right, babe? How'd you say we did?
I think we did good.
Yeah.
It went well.
I was proud of you. So that video will be out probably in the next couple weeks here, next couple months. I'll ask Anthony. It was a 22 convention, right? And so a big theme for the whole event is, intersexual dynamics, making things work between men and women again. I gave a talk on fatherhood, the state of the American father. So it just kind of inspired me. I'm kind of brainstorming here with Kyle, and Colleen have been talking about potentially doing a marriage workshop, a marriage camp. Remember I used to do grounding camps, strength camps? I'm a camp guy, right? And I haven't done camps in over a year. How can I be the camp guy? How can I be strength camp guy? How can I be grounding camp guy? And I'm doing camps. I gotta do camps that are associated with where I'm at. And right now I tend to think that marriage and family is pretty damn important, of course, because I'm doing it. But at the same time, I'm curious. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Is that something that you guys think is important? Is that something that maybe now or in the future would be something that you would join in on, right? Like a camp, a workshop, like, 2.5, 3 day workshop here in Florida. Colleen and I, working with you individually as men and women, working together in terms of intersexual dynamics and polarity, making marriage work the traditional way, right? I can't help but to include that word traditional, right? Because there are so many permutations of relationships. Not to say that they're wrong, but they don't tend to work, right? Progress isn't always good, right? We know that 70% of marriages end in divorce. Might be because men aren't being men anymore, women aren't being women anymore, maybe, definitely. It's what it is. So it would be centered around that and so much more. So just let me know in the comments down below if that's something you'd be interested in, and that will give me inspiration to pursue. If you say no, I'll probably still pursue it anyway. But I want to hear what you have to say. So I did a little workout with Jay Vincent at the 21 convention. He has this machine that puts constant pressure on the muscle. So you're getting like a lot of time under tension. I did a chest press, you'll see the video. I did a chest press, 3 reps. By the end of the second rep, I was dead. But it just reminds me how important it is to be focused throughout each rep. I'm doing these glute ham raises, and rather than just swinging up and down, really focusing on squeezing the glutes and the hamstrings. Makes it a heck of a lot harder. So let's see. I'm gonna try to do one leg at a time here at these, just as an experiment. So it could also be like thought of as a marriage retreat, right? Like married couples who want to get away for a little while. Because it's nice here. You be in Florida, right? When it's cold up north. Everybody wants to come to Florida. Doesn't everybody want to come to Florida? The good old state of Florida. Get to come and visit the free Republic of Florida with you and your spouse. All right, this would be a beautiful getaway. So getting ready to put my monkey foot on, gonna do some monkey foot hip flex lifts. And you guys might remember a couple months ago, I sent you guys, I uploaded a video and said, ask Elliott's wife anything, right? Like, they were meant to be questions from men that we would use at the event that we did this weekend. But the women had tons of great questions, and so we were able to facilitate that. But your questions are left unanswered. And so Colleen's here, I'm here, we're talking about this. So we're gonna dive into the questions that you guys asked. So Colleen and I will kind of banter back and forth on our thoughts on various things that interest you, right? About marriage and so forth. So Kyle, come on over, come a little closer. You have the list, right?
Yeah.
So what's the first question?
One of the things people wanted to know was just basic advice on having a happy long-term marriage. And whenever I think about it, my first thought is that I try to joyfully serve you and you right back at me. And so when we're together, we're not looking at our jobs as husband and wife as something that takes too much energy or is kind of a hindrance on us. We purposefully, joyfully serve each other. And I think that keeping that type of spirit in our home and in our marriage and in our family just makes everything run smoothly.
Yeah. So I like that you said joyfully serve. You joyfully serve me and I give my whole life to you. But there are some women, and we're just kind of exploring this, that have disdain towards the idea of serving their husband. What do you say to those women who seem to be not as happy in their marriage maybe as you are, but they're like, they shirk at the idea of giving themselves away or serving their husbands, or what you do for me?
Well, I'd say that you have to have a husband who joyfully serves you as well. It has to be a partnership where it's equal in the joy and the serving. If one partner's just serving 100% and the other person's just receiving, the one person's going to be very resentful.
Now, what about that? What about that resentful? You're right. Sometimes women they say, I don't feel a connection to you anymore. I don't feel the tingles I used to feel for you in the past. And, they'll say things like, this is not working out, or, maybe we need to go our separate ways because I no longer am getting what I need from you. Is it better for that, I'm talking about women in particular because of you, to kind of like to stick it out, to 100% stick it out, because I believe marriage is to the end? Or is it better that they do like, pop culture tells them, don't settle, girl, go and find yourself a better man?
Well, I'd say find any way in your relationship that you can take personal responsibility for what's being put into the marriage. So if things aren't working out, don't just look at your partner for what they're not doing. Look at yourself first and see what you could be doing, how you could be acting, how you could be serving. And if you start making little steps toward love and appreciation and gratitude and just touching more and feeling more and being with the other person, making small efforts go a long way. And so see how you're being in your marriage, see how you're being in relation to the other person, and work on yourself. And a lot of times when you start making small changes, the other person responds accordingly. And they start receiving those and making their own small changes. And then, I would say definitely don't give up, but just start making progress little by little.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would add to that polarity. I think polarity is so important in our depolarized world where everything has become lukewarm and gray, and there's no difference between men and women. And I would say the part of the reason why you and I work out so well together is because we are complete opposites. We have a unified vision and mission for our lives, but we don't have the same tastes, we don't have the same likes, we don't have the same attitudes. We are as different as yin and yang, or male and female. And so I would add that I think it's important in this depolarized world where we've been taught egalitarianism over what's normal, natural, and works, right? Sometimes our philosophies or our progress isn't as valuable as what has been and what truly is. So men, I think in our day and age, need to focus on how to be good at being a man, right? And I think women need to focus on, think about, and try to figure out what it is to be a good woman. Not a good person, right? Not a good partner, but a good man and woman, husband and wife, right? I think that's important. I think we've gone way too far into the rabbit hole or off the cliff with this, we're the same sort of thing. If we were the same, there'd be no, think about it, if there's no difference, there's no polarity, and if there's no polarity, there's no attraction, right? And so we maintain a healthy level of attraction between one another, but it's mainly, big part of it is due to the fact that you're very feminine and I'm very masculine. So I think those have to be.
We also have very clearly defined roles, and we talk about those roles and we know what our roles are and we embrace those roles and we look forward to sitting in those roles. Whereas I think lots of women they fight against it. And when you're able to just kind of take it on and kind of sit with it and enjoy being in the role of a woman, when you have a man sitting in his role as a man, it's very comfortable, it's very enjoyable, it's very luxurious. It really is it's a beautiful dynamic when you're secure in who you are and I'm secure in who I am. And we understand what our roles are. We've had many, many conversations about our roles in our family and our roles in our home and our roles in our marriage, and just not having a gray area. Like,
right.
What is it that you do as a man and what is it that I do as a woman in our relationship? And knowing those things and owning them and taking responsibility for them, there's never conflict about it because it's something we clearly decided.
Right.
It's not something we just kind of are wishy-washy about.
So I'm going to say something that's a little controversial, right? Like, for example, it's your role as the woman to make babies, right? I know that we say birthing people today, right? We say that, men can give babies too. That's how diabolically disoriented we become. But it's also so strange that to say that to a lot of feminist-minded women is an affront. What do you mean I'm a baby maker? I make babies and then I'm a homemaker and caretaker and nester and developer of the home. And I would say that you agree that that is your role and you love it. And for generations, women love that role of being a wife, serves her husband, a mother who nurtures her children, a homemaker that creates a beautiful environment. That's, in our opinion, that's not up for debate. I know that dads are changing more diapers than ever. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but I think it's important to know that and to consider that it is the woman's primary vocation to bear and care for the children and her husband. And I would also say, of course this is kind of controversial as well, that it is the husband's responsibility and authority to provide for that, right? Like the woman creates the space, but she could only do it with the foundation of provisions from a husband, right? And then just kind of teeter-tack back and forth. That's how he loves her and her family and the children. Is, like I said, I want to give you everything. I want to give her everything. But then in turn, there's a lot of back and forth, but one of the things that happens in turn that I know you do really well, good job at, but I think maybe a lot of women could learn better how to handle, is respect and appreciation comes back this way. Say thank you all the time, remind me of how blessed she feels, right? So there's sort of this, when there's no polarity, there's no dance. I like the way you put it. There's a dance, right? There's a push and there's a yield and a dance back and forth. So that was your question. That is our answer. That's essentially the gift we want to give. So we'll continue this workout and we'll keep going. Maybe answer one or two more of your questions. I think training together is important, right? Right? Any activity where your bodies are breathing and sweating and getting hot, right? Like it doesn't just have to be between the sheets, right? It doesn't have to be just between the sheets. Actually, we can throw the sheets off anyway. So it was pretty cool this weekend. Some of my assumptions, right? I have a lot of assumptions, but these assumptions were validated with a lot of the other speakers. It was incredible. A lot of things I kind of ruminate on and think about and do independent research on just seems to be where a lot of people are going as well. So a lot of my talks and Colleen and I conversation aligned with, what other people were saying. I forget where I was going to go with that though. One theme that just kept coming up was polarity in the marriage, but specifically repolarizing the marriage by bringing the wife home, bringing the mother home. I think that's the first step in a marriage that's struggling, is to de-stress the woman. That's essentially it, right? Demasculinize her so she can, because the woman is the receptive partner. And if there's tension, there's no receptivity. But when my wife used the word luxury, I know what she means when she said that. When a woman can relax, that's luxury. And she can relax when she knows that all will be well, all will be taken care of. I trust my husband to take care of it, right? And I know sometimes it means that we gotta work 2-3 jobs or whatever the case may be. When we decided to keep Colleen home, I was a personal trainer with no consistent income. I was trying to get clients, I was training people out of the back of my van with trash. It was a big challenge and sacrifice to keep her home, but having the woman put down that sword and that need to be a tax slave in order for her to have the energy and the time to care for her children, care for her home, care for her husband, really repolarizes a relationship. Just imagine if your wife was relaxed. I'm talking to you guys who are like your girlfriends or your wives are like on edge or always nitpicking you or giving you problems or stressed out. Imagine you could bring her home. Now, it would take an adjustment period because she would probably like not to know what to do with herself. But I think and a lot of the speakers also asserted that that's one of the main ways to begin thinking about repolarizing the marriage. Women come home, right? But yeah, not everybody likes that. And they use the word like contribute. I want to contribute to the family, but you are the family. You don't have to contribute to something that you actually are, right? They're the baby maker, caretaker, homemaker. There's no greater contribution. Us as men, our contribution pales in comparison. I'm just giving her resources. I'm just giving her my money, right? Doesn't mean that I'm out there and doing other things. But why would a woman want the role of just making money when she could be the one that takes that money and turns it into something beautiful, right? Didn't Betty White say that? Or who said that? One of these actresses that a woman makes everything better, right? Sure, the guy makes raw resources. She's the one that turns it into a home, right? Or I can give my wife a house, but she turns it into a home. I can give my wife a bone, and she turns it into a baby. But the woman has the magical alchemy in her physiology to turn the resources that a man can provide into something magical, and then a man can sit back and spend his creative energy to protect that, right? And that comes in a myriad of different ways. So that's just stuff that was on my mind. Do you have any other questions from the guys?
One of the guys asked how to keep that polarity in a relationship that's now going on 30 years. So after, so many years, how do we keep the polarity?
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
I definitely say the way we speak to each other, the way we touch each other, the way we just keep our energy very flirtatious and interested. Definitely just anything we can do to kind of stay connected every day, every week, every month. Just we continuously make an effort to find time for each other, alone time, away from the kids, away from the house, away from other people. Really just going back to dating. We've been dating for almost 30 years. We've been taking time for each other often, alone. And I think that's definitely helped our polarity stay strong.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I would add to that or enhance what you said by how our sexual play happens, where I'm on top of you, touching you and kissing you and rubbing you and slapping you and playing with your body all day long because I'm an aggressor. I'm a reacher, like, you know, masculine. And I love how you play with me in that dance by like giggling or smiling or saying, come back and give me more, or you know, even if maybe you're not feeling polarized in that moment, you'd never turn me away or stop me or tell me that, you know, leave me alone or stop touching me. So that receptivity, that yielding, that submission to my approaches.
Never going cold. Yeah, I never feel cold towards you.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not interested
Right.
in the moment, I allow myself to feel your warmth and then I warm up. So I'm never like shut off and cold toward you. I feel like I'm always, I try to have myself open and, you know, looking for your love and your affection.
Yeah, I think it's important for both. I think showing, so there's a lot of marriages that suffer from lack of polarity and that's lack of sex. The man not reminding himself, but of course his wife, that he's a sexual being, right? Like it's a reminder that I'm pursuing you, I'm attracted to you, I want you, and then on the other end, a woman that's willing to yield to that and to submit to that and find joy in it. And I just imagine, and I've heard some couples where the man's afraid. I've had this with some of my king guys. He's afraid to approach his wife because he's been rejected so many times. He reaches out to her and she's cold or slaps him away or starts rolling her eyes and is like, not tonight. Although we could blame the women in that instant, you know, a lot of times it would be like, well, why isn't she receptive? Once again, it's polarity. Like, how are you showing up as a man to be that key to unlock her desire, right? Like,
how are you loving her the other 23 hours out of the day that would make her more receptive to that?
Right, yeah.
Like, I feel loved by you all day long. So when you come to me, it's very easy for me just to be there for you. But if I didn't feel loved or if I just felt like you were cold all the time, it wouldn't be. So I think it's a dance between both, staying open, staying connected, staying one with your partner.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys, the sentiment at a certain point becomes neediness, right? And this, of course, this is not going to come out sounding great to feminists, but it's never needy when I'm approaching my wife. It's an aggression. I'm taking you. I'm taking her. I'm taking what I want. Sometimes she's, acting like, you know, like, oh, you're taking me, stop it. But really, it's polarity, it's attraction. I'm coming after you.
I don't think women want a needy man.
Right,
Women,
oh please, let me touch your titty. Oh please, will you kiss me and give me a crumb this time? No, it's like I'm coming to get some crumbs. Could we call it crumbs in that case?
No.
I'm coming to get the cake. I'm coming to get that icing. I'm gonna put icing on your cake. Yeah, so I think that's important on both ends.
Yeah.
It's tough I can imagine it's tough for a woman to want to yield and open up and be soft with a man that she perceives as weak and needy.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Thanks.
So, question based on what you just said, you're saying the only difference in not becoming needy, but still doing that and keeping the attraction, the polarity, is the aggression that you have when you're doing it?
So, you have tenderness and you have aggression. That just the same way that you have wintertime and you have summertime. Everything in life sort of shows this contrast, that's tick-tock, right? Even with the 0 and the 1 that powers our digital technology. So the reason why the 0 and the 1 powers our digital technology is because 1 is being 1. He's not trying to be 0, he's being 100% 1. And 0 is fully fulfilling her role as a 0. She's not pretending to be a 1 or kind of being a 0.5, right? Either way, that's what polarity is. And there's a spectrum. And I think it's different for different couples, right? Not every man's gonna be like me, and not every woman's gonna be like Colleen, but there still needs to be that polarity, right? And it's a dance. I love the way you said that. It's a dance. It's sort of a play. I think in our depolarized world, this is what attracts certain people to cosplay or, you know, these role plays in the bedroom, you know, like where the wife is legitimately like a lawyer, right, in real life, and the guy is like some high power, and so they're like, there's a lack of polarity sometimes. So she'll come home and maybe put on, I don't know, a Little Bo Peep outfit or something where she's playing a different role, and then the man comes and he's the doctor and he's gonna give the injection. It's playing polarity. And so if there's a lack of attraction in a relationship, it's my opinion that it's good to play up the polarity a little bit, right? And play into the male role as a man and play into the female role as a woman. Because the world has done this, and then we wonder, why is there no attraction, or why is there so strife? Why are relationships breaking up? Why can't we figure this out? Well, it's because zero's trying to play one and one's trying to play zero. But if we, like Halloween, pretend, you know, I'm gonna pretend to be, and it might be funny at first, right? I'm gonna pretend to be an aggressive macho man who's coming in like a caveman and getting what he wants. And I'm gonna pretend to be a helpless girl that you know, is can't do anything, but for some reason I want this, you see? So tender, yielding, aggressive, approaching. So, but once again, it's a spectrum. Is that helpful?
Yeah, well, what is the balance between, like what you're saying is, oh, he's always coming on to me throughout the day and I love it, and the other, I've heard a lot of like, hey, you don't want to be there all the time, you also want to have the typical play hard to get, or girls wanting what they can't have as well. So what's the balance of like the space to always coming on? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right? And my mom likes to say that a man is like a blowtorch and a woman's like a, what?
An oven.
An oven, right? It's got to heat up. And given that we play, that we're in our natural roles, a man's going to be like, just fire, but then he could just as easily go, boom, okay, and then go to work. And so I think to maintain that polarity, the woman needs to see the man blowtorching his work, blowtorching, like, I know it's attractive to women when men can fix stuff around the house. I realize that, and even though I'm not the greatest fixer, when I do fix something, you go, oh, my hero, I'm so happy I have a man that can fix that, right? So, because it's like, okay, I'm turning it on, I'm turning on my focus. That's what men, our gift is, that focus. Like, I could turn it in and focus on you, but if all my focus is here, that blowtorch is on here all the time, that's, I think, could be overkill.
Yeah.
And can be like diminishing returns. But if she sees, wow, he's out there, he's blowtorching all this other stuff, and I see other people seeing him blowtorch stuff, and he's known for that blowtorch on that thing, even without turning it towards her, she'll, oh, look at him out there, knowing he can come home and give me that blowtorch. See what I'm saying? Is that helpful?
Oh, that's great.
Okay. Yeah,
very good.
If it's turned on her all day long, she'll start to think, well, this guy has nothing else going on for him.
Yeah.
He has no other plans, he has no other projects, he has no other prospects. I know this sounds bad for some people sometimes, but it's good for me and for men to display, to show the power of their blowtorch, even to a degree that she notices there's attraction from outside. If no one's attracted to a woman's man, she's going to start asking herself, why am I with him? So, but the only way that man can maintain, and they call it dread game, but the only way he can maintain that in her is if he's out in the world blowtorching stuff, doing stuff. Even if it's around the house, even if it's, you know, on the computer or wherever it is that your work is, your mastery is, your blowtorch is building something, that also builds that polarity. That maintains that polarity. That may even create the polarity, because if she's not your wife, but she sees, wow, this guy he's out there, he's blowtorching it, he's getting it, he's doing it, and other people see it, that's always important. That's where status comes from. A woman wants to be with a man that other women want to be with, or that other men want to be. I mean, there are varying degrees of that, but you just have to show your competence, your confidence, and your ability to blowtorch, not just on her. Is that helpful?
That's deep. Yeah, that's the best explanation I've heard about that. So.
Yeah, the way you bring yourself to one thing is the way you're going to bring yourself to other things. That's why these guys that are like, they're wondering why women aren't attracted to them, but it's like, well, what are you doing out in the world? Are you dominating in school? Are you dominating in business? Are you dominating in your career? Are you dominating in the gym? Where else are you like blowing that blowtorch so she can see, oh, this guy is really up to something. And then she's gonna be like, turn that fire over here, baby. But if that's not showing up in other places in your life, she's gonna be like, what am I doing with this guy? No one else respects him. He's not doing anything out there to even prove to himself that he's worth respecting and desiring. So that's really number one. Really is number one. This wouldn't have worked had I been a slapdick, right? You know, if I was addicted to playing video games and, you know, didn't want to work, and just that would be depolarized. That would be bad.
Keeps me warm. Keeps me warm all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know that I'm out there, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay.
Contrary to what Disney movies have told men and women, a woman doesn't want to be the center of your life, because then she'll start to be resentful, thinking, this guy has nothing else except for me. And a woman wants a man that is up to something, pursuing something, doing something that she can then attach herself to. She wants to be taken for a ride. So it was pretty cool this weekend. Some of my assumptions, right? I have a lot of assumptions. But these assumptions were validated with a lot of the other speakers. It was incredible. A lot of things I kind of ruminate on and think about and do independent research on just seems to be where a lot of people are going as well. So a lot of my talks and Colleen and I conversation aligned with, you know, what other people were saying. I forget where I was going to go with that though. One theme that just kept coming up was polarity in the marriage, but specifically repolarizing the marriage by bringing the wife home, bringing the mother home. I think that's the first step in a marriage that's struggling, is to de-stress the woman. That's essentially it, right? Demasculinize her so she can, because the woman is the receptive partner. And if there's tension, there's no receptivity. But when my wife used the word luxury, I know what she means when she said that. When a woman can relax, that's luxury. And she can relax when she knows that all will be well, all will be taken care of. I trust my husband to take care of it, right? And I know sometimes it means that we gotta work 2-3 jobs or whatever the case may be. When we decided to keep Colleen home, I was a personal trainer with no consistent income. I was trying to get clients, I was training people out of the back of my van with trash. It was a big challenge and sacrifice to keep her home, but having the woman put down that sword and that need to be a tax slave in order for her to have the energy and the time to care for her children, care for her home, care for her husband, really repolarizes a relationship. Just imagine if your wife was relaxed. I'm talking to you guys who are like your girlfriends or your wives are like on edge or always nitpicking you or, you know, giving you problems or stressed out. Imagine you could bring her home. Now, it would take an adjustment period because she would probably like not to know what to do with herself. But I think and a lot of the speakers also asserted that that's one of the main ways to begin thinking about repolarizing the marriage. Women come home, right? Well, yeah, not everybody likes that. And they use the word like contribute. I want to contribute to the family, but you are the family. You don't have to contribute to something that you actually are, right? They're the baby maker, caretaker, homemaker. There's no greater contribution. Us as men, our contribution pales in comparison. I'm just giving her resources. I'm just giving her my money, right? Doesn't mean I'm out there and doing other things. But why would a woman want the role of just making money when she could be the one that takes that money and turns it into something beautiful, right? Didn't Betty White say that? Or who said that? One of these actresses, that a woman makes everything better, right? Sure, the guy makes raw resources. She's the one that turns it into a home, right? Or I can give my wife a house, but she turns it into a home. I can give my wife a bone, and she turns it into a baby. All right, but the woman has the magical alchemy in her physiology to turn the resources that a man can provide into something magical, and then a man can sit back and spend his creative energy to protect that, right? And that comes in a myriad of different ways. So that's just stuff that was on my mind. But if she's your only ride, that's gonna depolarize real quick. It's crazy. Like, there's no question that men build most businesses in technology and things like food delivery and dishwashers and microwaves and all these things that men have dedicated themselves to make the wife's job easier, right? She doesn't have to cook, she can deliver it. But yet, there's this call by feminists to save the woman from the oppression of the kitchen and the home. But it's like, it's easy. You push the button and the dishes are washed. You hit nap and you don't have to go grocery shopping. But yet they seem to think that it's some sort of drudgery. Men just keep making it easier for you. Right? You don't even have to go shopping. But they cry and scream that they hate men and they want to smash the patriarchy. But I think I'm starting to sound outdated, because I read an article recently that said that majority of women are beginning to see the failings of feminism and they're beginning to reject it. So, because it's a lie. And so that's good news. I gave a talk and I had to point, it was about the state of the American father, and in order to understand the state of the American father, I had to point out who the enemy is, right? If we're going to fight a battle, if we're going to win a war, we got to know who the enemy is. And so pinpointing just one fraction or aspect of the entire enemy is cultural Marxism. There's no question about it. It's a subversion of a people's values to corrupt the culture so it can be transformed. It's exactly its stated goal. And they've succeeded to the degree of creating disdain and hatred and opposition through perceived oppressed and oppressor classes. They know they needed to do this. They were able to do it well with the Bolsheviks in Russia because there was such strong class distinction, right? There was such a glut of truly poor, poverty-ridden people, and then the aristocrats, right? So it was very easy. All they had to do with the Bolsheviks is say, look at these rich cake eaters who are stepping on your necks while you're trying your best to grow potatoes. And so there was a bit more momentum to create class warfare. But when they tried to import that to America and import it to the West, because the working class was becoming the middle class in the 1950s in America, there really was no class warfare. It didn't really exist. And so-called racism at that particular time, although may have existed in its various forms, probably perpetrated by the Democratic Socialist Party through the KKK, because we all know that that works together, blacks were more prosperous than ever before at the time. The reason why I'm telling you this is because they have to create strife. They do it between black and white, male and female, and so on and so forth. Black marriage was, they stayed together longer, had less divorces than even the whites, much less babies out of wedlock. Blacks did not have babies out of wedlock, and were church-going conservatives, right? 1960s come along as the unfolding of the Marxist revolutions and total chaos in terms of pitting black against white, and then pitting male against female. So all this tension that we experience, that's highlighted by the so-called progressives, are designed to destroy our culture. If you have any animosity towards women or men against women, or vice versa, understand that it's been orchestrated. It was designed. It was designed to break up the family, destroy the family, make the women and children dependent on the state. And so that's what feminism succeeded in doing. Depolarizing the sexes so that relationships don't work, men become frivolous, and women become dependent. Not on men, but on Uncle Sam, government. You've been tricked, you've been fooled. I often say this, that if the governments and the corporations are on your side, you're being used. And right now, post-2020, we're seeing the governments and corporations use what? Gender dysmorphia, gender confusion, gender strife through feminism and the rainbow mafia, right? We saw it last year with George Floyd stuff, but what's interesting is a lot of black people are waking up. Lots. Think about like Candace Owen and Larry Elder. Not say that they were asleep, but they're emblematic of Brexit, right? Black people realizing we've been duped. Women, I think the same thing is happening in terms of feminism. We don't need to fight one another. It's not, the strife shouldn't be black against white, male against female. It should be the people versus the oligarchs, the world rulers of this day, the globalists, right? The Bill Gateses and World Economic Forums and Anthony Fauci's and Let's Go Brandons of the world. So that's it, YouTube. Thanks for joining me today for my easy deload workout before my big event this Saturday. Also, joining me in this conversation about marriage, relationships, intersexual dynamics, polarity, all the good stuff in life with your wife or your woman. Before I wrap up today, I'd like to make an invitation to you. If the things that we're talking about today are of interest to you, I know not everybody's into it, but if you're one of those people who might be interested in hearing more from Colleen and I, and maybe joining us at a camp or a workshop of sorts, click the link down below. I'm going to make a really simple landing page. It's just going to ask for your name and email address. Not promise you anything, but I'll keep you on a list where you'll only hear from me if and when we decide to put something together, and that way you'll be the first to know, because of course space would be limited if we did a live event. So if that floats your boat, let me know by clicking the link down below. Otherwise, say goodbye to your bro, yo. Until tomorrow, done.